Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be focusing on clear ornaments from the Dollar Tree. Now let's get crafting and see all the fun things we can make with them. For this DIY we're going to be using some raffia. This is a leftover grass skirt from the summertime, a clear ornament, a wooden bead, and some felt. I took a circular cup that would fit in a nice size on the ornament, and then I just traced around it with a marker. And then cautiously I'm taking my craft knife and I'm cutting it out right where that line was. Now you can see here that it is now open so I can put something inside of it. Now I'm going to add in some hot glue. Don't add in too much because it does melt the ornament if it's too hot. So you don't want it to have any issues, but enough that you can add in your raffia. And then I'm going to take the end of a pick from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to put that right on the wooden bead and glue it into place so that way it really secures into the fabric and it won't just pop off over time, especially if little children are picking it up and playing with it. And then I'm taking a rectangle shaped piece of fabric and I'm going to just keep playing with it until I get it swaddled to look like baby Jesus. Now this is such a sweet, fun DIY to try. It really costs hardly anything, and once you nestle your baby Jesus down inside the bundle of hay, it is just so sweet and darling to add to your Christmas tree. So go ahead and add that in cautiously so you don't burn your finger. And then up at the top of the ornament, I'm going to add a really pretty lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And I'm simply going to just fold it in half, loop it through the hole, come back through that little opening of the ribbon, pull it nice and snug, and then up at the top, I like to have a nice clean finish up at the top. Then instead of just using those metal hooks, I'm going to just connect those two ribbons up at the top, laying them flat on each other. And then to finish off the look, I'm going to just make a simple bow out of the ribbon lace to match. And then I'm just going to glue that right into place and it's ready to hang up on your Christmas tree. We're going to start off with this round ornament that's actually flat. You can see here that it's not your typical round ball ornament, and I picked it up from the Dollar Tree. Now it's really simple. We're going to fill the inside with some of this faux snow and then put the cap back on it. Now we're going to take out 3 different shade tints of the color green, and we're going to start by putting a straight line down the ornament and then start to create some branches wider at the base, smaller at the top. And then you're just going to make little leaves all over them with that first green color. Now, this is something that anybody honestly can do. The tip and trick is you want to make sure you're using a small paintbrush. The bigger the paintbrush, the bigger the strokes. So just think, the smaller the paintbrush, the smaller the strokes. Once you've got all the green on, the first color, you're going to come on with an apple green, and you're going to just simply make little lines going over it. I don't go over every single leaf because we want that different variation in color. And then I'm going to come in with a much lighter green and I'm going to just continue to add on that texture. Once I've got that color done and everything has dried, I'm going to go ahead and come back in with some white and very lightly define the branches, making it look like snow kind of landed there. Now with the back of my brush, I'm going to take my paint. I'm going to use my orange, yellow, and red and create little dots all over it. I am going to take a clear plastic ornament ball, took off the top of it so I can hold it with my finger inside there. It makes it easier to work with. And then you're going to pick the color yarn that you'd like, and you are just going to keep putting dollops of hot glue on it, and then you're just going to keep wrapping your yarn. And this does not take long at all to do. I actually really enjoyed doing this. I thought this was really fun to do.
And the more you keep wrapping it, your goal is to avoid any spots where you can see the ornament. You want it to be covered completely with the ball. So you're going to see that I'll catch my momentum, I'll get going in a circle, and then I'll stop and change directions, put a piece of hot glue again, and then just keep wrapping it again until I make sure I've covered up all of those spots. When you get to the end, you're going to snip off your yarn and then just tap down that piece and make sure it stays in place. This next part is super fun and whimsical. You're going to take toothpicks from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take 2 for the ornament, and then they have this beaded red berry floral at the Dollar Tree. I popped off 2 of these little balls that they have on it, put some hot glue on it, and then took that end of the popsicle stick and shoved it into the berry. Now you're going to notice when you pop them off that the red does come off. So I'm going to take some red paint and just make sure that everything is all painted nicely. I also decided to paint the top part of the ornament just because I thought it would be really cute to go with the needles for knitting. Then once it was dry, I took my knitting needles and I stuck them into the yarn and hot glued them into place and added the top on. For these DIYs, there are 2 for the price of 1. I don't know how else to say that, but basically they're a set, and they are 2 different DIYs, and I'm going to have 2 different instructions for them. So what we're going to do is, you saw all the supplies. We're going to take these clear ornaments from the Dollar Tree and we're going to use a peach color, and we're going to paint the whole ball, both of them, with it. And this is where they're going to start to change. So on one of them, we're going to make a pink line just like this. I'm just using my finger. You could use a brush if you don't want to get your finger dirty. And then on the other one, we're going to make 2 pink circles. Now, one is going to be Mrs. Claus, and then the other one is going to be Santa Claus. These are so cute. I saw these as an inspiration. I saw someone selling them online and they were super expensive. A store was selling them, and I thought, oh, we can make these for like $1.50 instead of paying like $15 to $20 for each one, which is just no way. Friends, we're crafty, we can make these, right? So you saw there I put on 2 little dots for the eyes, and then the nose is kind of like a burnt orange color. And then we're going to take a really fine tip art pen and we're going to just draw on a little smile. And I made sure I did those little rounded cheeky corners of the smile because it really makes the cheeks really pop and accentuate even more. Thought this looked so cute. And then we're going to take some puffy paint. Now I will say, you could always use, instead of puffy paint, you could just use regular paint, but I wanted it to have a popped up, very textured look to it. So I went ahead and put on the puffy paint. Just know that the second that you put this on here, it's going to need to dry overnight and it's going to take quite some time. If you try to heat this up with your heat gun, it will start to melt the ornament, which will be such a bummer because you've already worked so hard on them. So just make sure that when you do use the puffy paint for the beard and her hair, that you just know that you have the commitment of letting it sit out overnight. And be careful when you put too much hair on her because it can want to run if it gets too thick. So once that was all dry and it was the next morning, I went ahead and took one of these wire stems that comes from the picks at the Dollar Tree. I cut it down to the size that I needed, and then I bent it just like this, right in the center. And now I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to start to curl out the sides to create mini glasses for Mrs. Claus. This is such a cute detail on these ornaments. And once you get them to twist into a little pair of glasses, you're then going to go ahead and add them on with, I put a little bit of E6000 right in the middle, and then I'm going around the sides with some hot glue, and we're going to secure them down even better. You'll see in a little bit where I'm going to add in even more glue, but I put down the right amount that I needed to get it to just settle on there and stay. How cute is it? I'm putting on her glasses. Now I'm taking my hot glue and I'm just going to build up those corners just a little bit, because one side is going to have some glitter to look like frost, and then the other side is going to have some greenery and berries on it, so it's going to really hold it down nice and secure on her face. Now we're going to move on to her little hat or her little bonnet. and I took some felt, I rolled it over just like this, and I'm gluing it all down so it stays in place. And then once I've got that piece, we're going to move on to the red. Now you can honestly use whatever fabric you want. This is what I had on hand, and I decided to go with this buffalo check or gingham. And I first laid it over, found where I needed the hole to be, and then you can see here that I cut out a hole, and now I'm gluing it all along her hairline, wrapping around the back of her head. And I just keep pulling it and cutting away whatever I don't need to create that nice circled look so it looks like it's on top of her head. So just keep playing with it. This part's really simple. It looks a little complicated, but this part is honestly really simple. You just keep pulling it and playing with it until you get it all settled. Then, to clean up all of those edges and to make it look really polished, we're then going to take that felt that we rolled up earlier, and we're going to just go all along the edge. Now I did kind of a zigzag motion with my hot glue to make sure that I was really getting it all locked into place so it doesn't come off and it looks nice and finished. Now you can see here that I have this gap. I did that on purpose because I didn't want it to be too bulky on this part of the ornament, because if you go too bulky in ornaments, it can tip to the side more on the ornament and making it look crooked. Now I wanted to add in a little bit more of, you know, Mrs. Claus look to it, so I added in some of this lace from the Dollar Tree, and then I'm just pulling it down over the white part to make it look a little more feminine, a little more girly like her. And then over on that spot where I said earlier where I was leaving it open, I'm going to take one of these greenery leaves from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just kind of working with it so it's nice and flat instead of it being all opened up with three. And then I'm going to take some of these berries. I thought it would be so cute to take some berries and add some of those on with it, as well as a bow. So I put down the bow first, got it all in place, and then I'm going to come back in with the berries, and I'm just going to slowly keep bringing them around it until I get it to the look that I want it to look like. And this part is so fun because you really do just get to play with it until you get it as girly as you want her to look. And then I'm going to come in with some hot glue and some Mod Podge two different ways. So first for her cheeks, we're going to rub on the Mod Podge just like this, and then I'm going to lightly put on that glitter because we want it to be more smooth. But then on the other parts we want it to look more frosted, we're going to add on some hot glue, and that's going to make it build up and cake up, making it look really icy and frosty. So I went around her glasses and her hat to really add in that cute detail, and then go ahead and pop back in her top. And then again, to clean up the top area, I'm going to add some more hot glue and some more glitter, and I'm just going to keep playing with it until I get it to the desired look that I want. Once she was all done, I moved her over to the side and moved back over to Santa. And I noticed that after I was done using the puffy paints, I got the desired texture I wanted, but I felt like it was still a little too opaque. So I came on with some white paint, and I'm simply just going over it. And then I decided to bring around some more white paint around the bottom side of the ornament to make it look like, you know, all of his beard coming up around the side. And I just like the way that it looked more than leaving it tan back there, because then it just looks like, you know, I don't know, like incomplete on the back side. Then you don't want it to be too wet. I made sure it was just very damp. I was waiting for it to dry for a few minutes, and then I came back in with a little bit of this dusty glitter, and I'm just sprinkling that all over the white paint to give it some more texture and depth, and I just think it looks so cute. It looks like his beard's all frosty. Now Santa's hat is a little bit different. For Mrs. Claus we used more of a square shape, but Santa's going to be more of a rectangle. You want to make sure that it's going to fit all the way around the width of the ball. So I started up here at the top where his eyes are, and I'm just going to bring it down and around the sides, because we're going to make Santa's hat where it, you know, kind of flops over to the side. We want to make that same look. This is where the details really start to matter. Now this DIY is definitely more advanced for a more advanced crafter, but anybody honestly could try this, and it's so fun. This is the reason why I like to show some that are really easy, some that are medium, and some that are more challenging, because I want everybody to have a different opportunity, whatever skill level you are with your crafts, to be able to try it. So once I came all the way around the hat and I glued it up the back to create that back seam, I then brought it up to the top like you saw, brought it over to the side, And then right where the hole is, I pushed it all down around to create that hole. So that way you can still see the hat coming around the back side of the ornament top, and we're able to still see his hat. Really cute. So now I'm going to come back in with that felt, and I'm going to just zigzag along with my glue, cleaning up that line and making sure it looks really good, and then tucking those ends underneath where his hat comes together. At this point, I really wanted the felt to come together because I wanted this part to look nice and full here, and it wasn't too bulky. So now at the end of his hat, we are going to just put on a leaf, and then we're going to come back in with a couple of these berries again, and we're going to just play with it until we like how it looks. This part is so fun. I loved dressing these two little ornaments up so much, and adding the berries and making them look like a cute little couple for Christmas. And then at the top, to make sure the ornament stays forward, I did my twine trick where I fold the twine in half, go through the hole, take that opening, and then just loop it through so it's a nice little loop knot. I never just tie it because it'll keep it from it wanting to rotate and turn. And I've showed that a lot here on my channel, so if you go back and watch other past videos, I showed in more depth. So here I am at the very end, adding some glitter at the top of him and around his hat and on the berries, and it just looks so perfect for Christmas. He looks so frosty and ready to be displayed on your Christmas tree.
I love how much potential clear ornaments have from the Dollar Tree. Pick some up, give them a try, and have a fun time being creative with them. In today's episode, I shared 5 of them, but they really have such an endless opportunity for creative ideas. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out this video as well, and click the subscribe button if you're new. Thanks again for visiting, and until the next episode, bye friends.